She meant to text her sister. Instead, she accidentally sent a desperate cry for help to the most dangerous man in the city. 12 minutes later, he was standing at her door, and her quiet life as a single mother would never be the same again. Before we dive into this unforgettable journey of danger, protection, and unexpected redemption, make sure to subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that sometimes the wrong turn leads to the right place. Now, let me tell you what really happened. The rain came down in sheets that October night in Portland, the kind of downpour that turned streets into rivers and made the city lights blur like watercolor paintings. Clara Bennett clutched her phone with trembling fingers, her other hand gripping the steering wheel of her aging Honda as she tried to focus on the road ahead. The windshield wipers worked overtime, slapping back and forth in a rhythm that matched her racing heart. She had just left her shift at Mercy General Hospital, 12 hours of saving lives and calming fears, and now she couldn't even save herself from the panic rising in her throat. Someone was following her, had been following her for the past 4 blocks. A black SUV with tinted windows, staying just close enough to be threatening, just far enough to maintain plausible deniability. Her ex-husband Daniel had warned her this might happen. Well, not warned exactly, more like threatened in that way he had of making everything sound like a casual observation, while his eyes said something entirely different. 3 days ago, he had shown up at her apartment, looking over his shoulder, sweat beading on his forehead. Despite the autumn chill, he needed something, a flash drive he claimed he had left behind when they divorced 2 years ago. She had told him she threw everything of his away. She had lied. Now, as the SUV accelerated behind her, she wondered if that lie was about to cost her everything. Her daughter Sophie was at a sleepover. Thank God. But what if these people knew where Sophie was? What if they went there next? Clara's fingers fumbled with her phone, trying to pull up her sister's contact while keeping her eyes on the road. Rebecca would know what to do. Rebecca always knew what to do. She was the tough one, the one who had warned Clara that Daniel was trouble from the very first date, the one who helped her pack when Clara finally found the courage to leave. But in her panic, Clara's thumb slipped. Instead of Rebecca's name, she tapped the contact directly below it, a number she had saved months ago. After a wrong number had texted her asking about a delivery, she had kept it, thinking maybe she would use it someday to return the favor, to let them know they had the wrong person. She never did. The text was simple, desperate, honest, in a way that only true fear can be. Someone is following me. I think they want to hurt me. I don't know what to do. Please help. She hit send before she realized her mistake. Then she saw the name at the top of the chat. Unknown number. Not Rebecca. Not her sister, who would call the police and meet her at the station with coffee and a fierce hug. An unknown number. Damn it, Clara whispered, her voice cracking. The SUV was closer now, its headlights filling her rearview mirror with blinding light. She made a sharp right turn, tires squealing, hoping to lose them in the residential streets of her neighborhood. But they followed, matching her turn with the precision of someone who had done this before, someone who knew exactly what they were doing. Her phone buzzed. Against her better judgment, she glanced down. Where are you right now? Clara's breath caught. The response had come in less than 30 seconds. She looked at the message, her mind spinning. This was insane. She did not know this person. This could be anyone. A scammer, a creep, someone worse than whoever was chasing her. But something about the message, the directness of it, the lack of questions about who she was or why she was in trouble, made her fingers move. Cedar Avenue, near Maple Street. Black SUV following me. I can't lose them. The response came almost immediately. Drive to the 24-hour diner on Oak Street. Park under the lights. Stay in your car. I will be there in 12 minutes. 12 minutes. Clara did not know if she had 12 minutes. The SUV was right behind her now, so close she could not see its bumper, only the aggressive glare of its headlights. But the diner was only 6 blocks away. She could make it to the diner. She pressed the accelerator, her old Honda protesting with a whine that suggested it was not built for car chases. The SUV matched her speed easily. Of course it did. Daniel always did have expensive taste, even when he could not afford it. Especially when he could not afford it. Clara's mind raced through the past 2 years, trying to piece together what Daniel had gotten himself into. The late-night phone calls he would take in the bathroom. The mysterious cash that would appear in his wallet despite their mounting debts. The way his old friends stopped coming around, replaced by men in suits who looked at her like she was an inconvenience. They were calculating the cost of removing. She had thought leaving him would be the end of it. She had thought divorce meant freedom, a fresh start for her and Sophie, a chance to rebuild without his shadow darkening their doorway. But some shadows do not disappear just because you close the door. Some shadows wait patiently for an opportunity to slide back through the cracks. The diner appeared ahead, a beacon of fluorescent light in the storm, looking exactly like every late-night refuge in every small crisis Clara had ever weathered. But tonight, it looked like salvation. She pulled into the parking lot, choosing a spot directly under one of the tall lamps, and threw the car into park. Her hands were shaking so badly, she could barely turn off the ignition. The SUV pulled in behind her, blocking her exit. Clara's heart hammered against her ribs, like it was trying to escape her chest. She grabbed her phone, ready to call 911, ready to scream, ready to do whatever it took to survive the next few minutes. But the SUV just sat there, engine running, headlights blazing, waiting. Clara checked the time. 7 minutes had passed since the mysterious texter said they would arrive. 5 minutes left. She had no idea if this person was even real, if they were actually coming, or if this was some elaborate prank by the universe to remind her that trusting strangers was how people ended up as headlines. The rain continued its assault on her windshield, each drop like a tiny fist pounding out a rhythm of impending doom. Clara thought about Sophie, about her daughter's gap-toothed smile, and the way she still asked Clara to check under the bed for monsters, even though she was 9 years old and insisted she was too grown up for such things. What would happen to Sophie if Clara did not make it home? Would Rebecca take her? Would Daniel try to claim custody, dragging Sophie into whatever criminal mess had created this nightmare? 9 minutes. The SUV's door opened. A man stepped out, tall, broad-shouldered, wearing a dark jacket that glistened with rain. He started walking toward her car, not rushing, just walking with the casual confidence of someone who knew she had nowhere to go. Clara's finger hovered over the 9 on her phone's keypad. 1 press, 3 numbers. That was all it would take. But she hesitated, because calling the police meant questions. Questions meant explanations. Explanations meant revealing that her ex-husband was involved in something bad enough to get her followed by men who looked like they auditioned for the role of henchman and got the part based purely on their ability to look threatening while standing still. 10 minutes. The man was halfway to her car now. Clara could see his face in the glow of the parking lot lights. Hard features, cold eyes, a scar running down his left cheek that looked like it had its own story to tell. And that story probably ended with someone in a hospital or worse. 11 minutes. The man reached her car, knocked on the window with his knuckles, not aggressive, almost polite, like he was a neighbor asking to borrow sugar, and not someone who had chased her through the rain-soaked streets of Portland. "Clara Bennett," he said, his voice muffled by the glass and the rain. Not a question, a statement. He knew her name. Clara's blood turned to ice. This was it. This was how it ended. Sitting in a diner parking lot, murdered for something her ex-husband had done. Something she did not even understand. 12 minutes. Headlights swept across the parking lot. A black motorcycle roared in, cutting through the rain like a bullet through water. It stopped between Clara's car and the man at her window. The engine's growl filling the air with a sound that promised consequences. The rider dismounted in one smooth motion, pulling off a helmet to reveal dark hair slicked back with rain. A face that looked like it had been carved from marble by someone who believed suffering built character, and eyes that Clara could only describe as winter gray, cold and clear, and absolutely devoid of mercy. He was not as tall as the man threatening her, not as broad, but something about the way he moved, the way he carried himself, made the bigger man take a step back, actually take a physical step backward, like his body had made a decision. His brain was still processing. "She is with me," the rider said. His voice was low, controlled, the kind of voice that did not need to be raised to be heard or obeyed. The bigger man shifted his weight. "We have business with her." "No." The rider stepped forward, closing the distance between them with a movement so casual it took Clara a moment to realize it was also a threat. "You had business with her, past tense. Now you have business with me. And trust me, you do not want that business." There was a pause. The rain continued its percussion solo on metal and concrete. Clara held her breath, watching through her window as two men engaged in the ancient dance of dominance and submission, though only one of them seemed to know the steps. And the bigger man pulled out his phone, made a call, spoke in tones too low for Clara to hear. Then he looked at the rider, his expression unreadable. "Adrian Cole." It was not a question. It was recognition. And with that recognition came something Clara had not expected to see in a man who had just chased her through the city. Fear. The man backed away, got in his SUV, drove off into the rain, like he had suddenly remembered he had somewhere else to be, anywhere else to be, as long as it was not here. Clara sat frozen in her car, her mind trying to catch up with what had just happened. The rider, Adrian Cole apparently, turned to look at her through the window. His expression softened slightly, though softened might be too generous a word. It was more like the difference between ice and cold water. Both could kill you, but one at least acknowledged your existence first. He motioned for her to roll down the window. She did, though her hand shook as she pressed the button. "You texted me," he said. Not a question, a confirmation. Clara nodded, unable to form words. Her throat felt like someone had filled it with sand and then asked her to swallow glass. "You saved my contact information. From 6 months ago, the delivery text." She nodded again, found her voice, though it came out smaller than she intended. "I thought you were my sister." The corner of his mouth twitched. It might have been a smile. It might have been indigestion. With a face like his, it was hard to tell. "Your sister must be very intimidating, despite everything, despite the fear still coursing through her veins, like electricity through copper wire." Clara laughed. It was a small, slightly hysterical laugh, but it was a laugh. "You have no idea." Adrian studied her for a moment, rain dripping from his hair, his leather jacket pooling at his feet. "Daniel Ward is your ex-husband." It was not a question, but Clara answered anyway. "How did you know?" "Because Victor Kane's men do not chase random nurses through Portland in the rain for fun. They do it because someone they care about has something Victor wants, and Daniel Ward currently occupies the top spot on Victor's list of people who have things he wants." Clara felt her stomach drop to somewhere around her knees. Victor Kane, the Victor Kane. Unless there is another crime boss running Portland, who I have not heard about, yes. "And you are?" Adrian's expression did not change. "Someone who also has things Victor wants. The difference is, I do not run when he comes looking for them." Clara's nurse brain, the part of her that stayed calm during emergencies and knew how to prioritize when everything was falling apart, kicked into gear. "I need to get my daughter. She is at a friend's house. If these people know where I live, they might know where she is." Adrian nodded once. "Give me the address. I will have someone pick her up and bring her somewhere safe." "I do not even know you." "No," Adrian agreed. "But you texted me for help, and I am here. That is 12 minutes more than Daniel ever gave you. I'm guessing." It was a low blow, but it was accurate. Daniel had been many things during their marriage. Charming, ambitious, affectionate when it suited him, but reliable in a crisis, had never made the list. He was more of a create the crisis then disappear